In our Introduction to Gravity Forms video, we took a look at the single-line text field and the options that were available on that field. Now let's take a look at some of the other fields available for use on your form. This is the paragraph text field. It differs from the single-line text field in that you have a block to enter your text in. This allows your users to enter large amounts of text easier than trying to type it all in a single line. Next, we have the number field. The options for this field allow you to change the format to show currency. You can also add a minimum and maximum value to the field. If the number entered is outside of that range, the field will fail. You can also perform a mathematical calculation on the field using the standard mathematical operators. If you're interested in doing this, I suggest taking a look at the documentation for gravity forms. Now let's take a look at drop-downs, radio buttons, checkboxes, and multi-select fields. These fields are all standard fields and allow your users to make one or more choices among a series of options. The drop-down and radio button fields each allow for one choice to be made. The checkboxes and multi-select allow the user to pick multiple selections. Under the General tab for each of these fields, you'll see a section called Choices. It's here that you'll create the options for your user. If you want to add a new choice, click the plus sign. You can delete a choice by clicking the minus sign. And if you click the arrow, you can drag and drop the choices to change their order. Gravity Forms also provides some sets of predefined choices. To access these sets, click this button. For example, instead of having to type in all of the U.S. states manually, you can click the U.S. states list. All of the U.S. states and territories have now been added to your field. If you have a set of options that you frequently use, you can save it as a custom choice. You'll then be able to select it from the list over here to add it to the field. To add this new list of choices to the field, click Insert Choices. The HTML field is used to add text to your form. Despite its name, you don't actually have to use HTML code. The field will display plain text. It can be used with or without a field label. You can use this field to provide additional instructions or information to the user. The Page field allows you to break up your form across multiple pages. When you select the Page field, it adds 3 sections to your form. The first section is the top of the form, the last section is the end of the form, and the middle one is the page break itself. If I wanted the address to appear on the second page, I can move the page break above the address. If I wanted to add another page break, I could duplicate the first one, and then drag the element below that page break. Now we have the name on the first page, email on the second page, and address on the third. Here's what the form looks like from the user's point of view. You can see a progress bar has been added to the top, and a navigation button has been added to the bottom. As the user fills out the form, they'll click the next button to go to the next page. And finally, on the last page, the Submit button will appear. Instead of displaying a progress bar, you can use a step count or have no progress display at all. You have different color styles for your progress bar, and you can give each page a name. The last standard field we'll talk about is the Section field. This adds a large title and a horizontal rule to the form. You can use this field to visually break up sections of your form. When we get to the section on conditional logic, you'll see that this field also has a role in hiding and revealing parts of the form. Now let's take a look at some of the advanced fields that you can use on your form. When you add a name or an address field, they're created with several subfields under a single field label. The field options will allow you to add or remove subfields and change their descriptions. By default, the name field only includes the first name and last name. We can add the middle name by clicking the Show Field slider. You can also override the sublabels by replacing them here. You can see we now have the middle name on the form and we've replaced the sublabel. Under the Appearance tab, we now have an option for the sublabel placement. It can be below the input, above them, or you can hide it completely. The address field also contains multiple subfields. This field defaults to international format, but if you change to United States, it will remove the country field and change the subfield labels. Also, if you expect that most of your users will be from the same state, you can select a default state to pre-populate the field. The user still has the ability to change the state if they wish. The phone, email, and website fields will verify the format of any data entered into them. If the user tries to submit the form with incorrectly formatted data, the field will give an error and request the user resubmit the answer. For the phone field, you can specify the number format. It can either be in the US Canadian version or the longer international version. For the email field, you can require an email confirmation. What this will do is add a second field to the form and ask the user to put the email in a second time. If the two fields don't match, then the form will give an error. The website field doesn't have any additional settings, but it will verify that you entered a valid URL format. Other advanced fields allow for entering a date or a time, uploading a file, or putting a consent check onto your form. The details of these can be found in the Gravity Forms documentation. The post and pricing fields won't be covered in this video, but here's their basic function. The post field can be used to create a form that allows a post to be created and posted to your blog. The pricing fields can be used to create a form for selling products or taking monetary transactions.